From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. At least 56 Palestinians have been killed and 89 injured in the past 24 hours in Gaza as Israeli strikes persist. Attacks targeted civilian areas, including a playground and a market in the Maghazi refugee camp. The Israeli army says it conducted more than 40 raids across Gaza, claiming to target Palestinian resistance infrastructure. Meanwhile, as Israeli strikes in Gaza City's Sheikh Radwan neighborhood killed 7 and wounded 20 people. Video from the scene showed the bodies of victims being transported to the Ahli hospital in Gaza City. Tensions continue to escalate between Hezbollah and Israel. This has resulted in 4 deaths in Lebanon by targeted Israeli drone strikes over the past day, including 3 members of Hezbollah. At least 33,899 Palestinians have been killed and 76,664 wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. Amongst the dead are more than 14,520 children and approximately 10,000 women. The death toll is likely far higher, with thousands of bodies buried in the rubble of collapsed buildings from Israeli strikes. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7th attacks stands at 1,139, with dozens of people still being held prisoner in Gaza. Israel's war on Gaza has pushed 85% of the territory's population into internal displacement. Israel stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice. An interim ruling in January ordered Tel Aviv to stop genocidal acts and take measures to guarantee humanitarian assistance is provided to civilians in Gaza. The Palestinian media office has revealed that a mass grave was found within Gaza City's Shifa medical complex. It is believed to hold 10 Palestinians executed during an Israeli military operation. It was found in the hospital's courtyard with some bodies decomposed and dismembered, including those of women. Dr. Muhtasim Salah from the Health Emergency Committee confirmed the discovery. A joint committee of Health and Justice Ministries, along with forensic services, are handling the bodies for identification and legal procedures. Medical sources confirmed victims were executed by the Israeli army and buried irregularly. Specialized teams are still searching for bodies. Gaza Civil Defense recovered 409 bodies after the Israeli withdrawal, and the World Health Organization reports that 21 patients died due to medical access obstruction during the siege. The Israeli army withdrew from Shifa Hospital on April 1st after a devastating 2-week-long military operation and siege. The hospital's main surgical building, ICU, emergency, general surgery, and orthopedic departments have all been extensively damaged or destroyed. On the eve of Palestinian Prisoners' Day, reports reveal a 130% surge in the number of Palestinian detainees in Israeli prisons since October 7th. A Palestinian official noted that the number before that date was nearly 5,000. It now stands at over 12,000. The Palestinian media office reports that more than 5,000 Palestinians have been detained from Gaza in the past 6 months. This figure does not include Gaza detainees facing forced disappearance. Various organizations have reported that the detainees include 80 women and more than 200 children. Earlier this month, the number of administrative detainees climbed to more than 3,000, including 22 women and 40 children. Administrative detainees refer to those who are not charged and kept behind bars as prevention. Qaddoura Faris, head of the Prisoners and Ex-Prisoners Affairs Authority, has described conditions as catastrophic, citing systematic torture and assaults. This winter saw detainees deprived of adequate clothing and blankets. Palestinians commemorate the Palestinian Prisoners' Day on April 17th of each year. The day was chosen to commemorate the release of the first Palestinian prisoner, Mahmoud Bakr Hijazi, under an exchange deal between the Palestinian resistance and the Israeli occupation. The U.S. Navy has spent nearly $1 billion in munitions in responding to attacks on Navy ships and commercial vessels in the past 6 months in the Middle East. Navy Secretary Carlos Del Toro told a Senate Appropriations Committee hearing that the munitions are extremely important. He said they have countered more than 130 direct attacks in the region. Del Toro also said that the arms will have to be replenished. The Navy is now seeking more than $2 billion in a supplemental package, which faces an uncertain path in Congress because of concerns from lawmakers. President Joe Biden's $95 billion national security supplemental has languished in the House of Representatives for months after it overwhelmingly cleared the Senate by a 70-29 vote in February. It includes more than $60 billion for Ukraine, $14.1 billion for Israel, nearly $2.5 billion for U.S. military operations in the Red Sea, and $4.8 billion for Indo-Pacific partners. During Iran's retaliatory attack on Israel last weekend, the United States outperformed Israel in intercepting drones and missiles. The U.S. military intercepted more than half of Iran's weapons before they could reach Israel. Analysts say this not only shows the significant level of U.S. military assistance to Israel, but it also exposes Israel's own defense capabilities to counter missile threats. The operation involved a multinational air defense effort with countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Jordan contributing to intercepting Iranian threats. U.S. sources estimate that the technical failures plagued around half of Iran's launched weapons. Of the remaining, the U.S. shot down the majority. In a recent press release, U.S. Central Command highlighted the successful interception of over 80 drones and 6 ballistic missiles. The New York Times prohibits the words genocide and occupation. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The New York Times has issued an internal memo advising journalists to limit the use of terms like genocide and occupied territory in the newspaper's coverage of Israel's war on Gaza. Written by Times editors Susan Westling and Philip Pan, it discourages the use of specific terms, which some staff see as favoring the Israeli perspective on the war. Obtained by the American online media outlet The Intercept, the memo discourages the terms Palestine except in rare cases. It also urges avoiding using refugee camps to describe Palestinian settlements. The issue has sparked debate over journalistic integrity regarding sensitive terminology in reporting on the Israel-Palestine conflict. The University of Southern California has revoked the speaking opportunity of its 2024 valedictorian, citing safety concerns amidst controversy. Asna Tabassum, a first-generation South Asian Muslim student, has faced criticism from pro-Israel groups due to an Instagram link advocating for a single Palestinian state. The slideshow Tabassum shared includes a page explaining that anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and linking to a debate on the topic featuring former MSNBC host Mehdi Hassan. The USC's decision to cancel her speech has drawn condemnation. Tabassum has expressed disappointment, questioning the university's motives. USC Provost Andrew Guzman defended the decision, emphasizing safety over tradition. However, Tabassum and the Council of American Islamic Relations Los Angeles chapter doubt the rationale. They highlighted the lack of specific threats and demanded transparency. The Supreme Court has rejected an appeal by a Black Lives Matter organizer, which now paves the way for him to be sued by a Louisiana police officer for negligence. The lawsuit stems from a 2016 protest in the city of Baton Rouge, following the fatal shooting of a Black man, Alton Sterling, by 2 police officers. Despite not directly causing harm, the demonstration's organizer, DeRay McKesson, faces legal action for allegedly organizing a protest that turned violent. The Court of Appeals has ruled that McKesson could be liable under a theory of negligent protest. This legal decision raises concerns about the extent of the organizer's responsibility for actions that occur during protests. While disappointed by the Supreme Court's decision, the ACLU says it vows to protect protests' rights and challenges the ruling's implications. UNICEF has revealed that armed groups have abducted more than 1,600 students and 60 school staff in Nigeria over the past decade. UNICEF's country representative Christian Munduat says 180 students and 14 staff were killed in school attacks during this period. She expressed concern over the continuous attacks on schools, emphasizing that many lack adequate safety measures. Urging authorities to prioritize children's protection, Mundat is calling for decisive action to address the root causes behind these abductions. The 2014 abduction of 276 Chibok students by the group Boko Haram sparked global outrage, leading to the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Since then, over 100 girls have been rescued or escaped from captivity. A UK court has upheld the ban on prayers at one of England's high-achieving state schools. A student had challenged the decision of the Michaela Community School in northwest London. She claimed the ban was discriminatory and breached her right to religious freedom. The ban was introduced in March 2023, after up to 30 students began praying in the school's yard due to a lack of praying area within the school building. Around half of the school's roughly 700 pupils are Muslim. The school's lawyers claim that students seen praying outside contributed to what they called a concerted campaign on social media over the school's approach to religion. In an 83-page written judgment, the court said the student had accepted at the time of enrollment that she would be subject to certain restrictions. Following the ruling, the student said she was disappointed but planned to remain at the school and focus on her high school exams. A new report has uncovered deep connections between the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America and violent militant groups in India. The report, drafted by the group Zahra, United Against Supremacy, has contradicted the VHPA's claims of independence from its Indian counterpart. Established under ultra-Hindu extremist group Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, the VHPA financially supports the Indian VHP. The report claims it has transferred more than $7 million since 2000 to its Indian chapter, which has been involved in attacks against minorities in India. Internal documents show its acknowledgement as part of the global VHP network. Safa Ahmed from the Indian American Muslim Council stresses the VHP's threat to democracy in the United States and abroad. Zahra aims to unite diverse groups against supremacist ideologies, advocating for harmony and dignity. Middle Eastern and North African economies are expected to grow 2.7% in 2024, up from 1.9% in 2023, according to the World Bank. GDP growth in almost all oil-importing countries is expected to decelerate, it added. The bank said lackluster growth, rising indebtedness, and heightened uncertainty due to the conflict in the Middle East are impacting economies across the region. In Gaza, in which Israel has killed over 30,000 since October, economic activity has come to a near standstill. The World Bank, United Nations, and the European Union estimate that damage to Gaza thus far is $18.5 billion, or 97% of the total GDP of Gaza and the West Bank. It also says a staggering 72% of this estimate is the cost of housing, while another 19% is the cost of civilian infrastructure, including water and sanitation, power, and roads. The region's GDP plummeted 86% in the last quarter of 2023, and the occupied West Bank has plunged into recession. Bosnia and Herzegovina commemorated the 116 victims of the Ahmadi massacre from the 1992 to the 1995 Bosnian War. A ceremony included a march to the village, recitations of the Quran, prayers, and visits to the victims' graves. The massacre occurred on April 16th of 1993, when Croatian Defense Council forces attacked Ahmadi, killing Bosniak civilians, including women and children. Defense Minister Zukan has emphasized the need for military education to prevent such tragedies. Survivor Anisa Ahmed Mulik recounted the horrors witnessed, including burning victims. The massacre, marked by ethnic violence between Bosnian Croats and Muslims, was condemned as a brutal act of ethnic cleansing. Perpetrators were sentenced by the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia. The Bosnian War killed more than 100,000 people and displaced around 2 million, leaving scars from atrocities such as the siege of Sarajevo and the Srebrenica genocide. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. Your support is needed more now than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by calling 1-800-432-4262. You can also use the Zelle app for easy payments by sending to info@soundvision.com or visit muslimnetwork.org. muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.